The evil plan of a woman in opposition to you has backfired horribly. Now she is in there. My expensive infant, if you accept as true within angels, start this video and watch it completely. Archangel Michael says, I order you to open this now. This isn't a message you may forget about. This is not simply some other word for another soul. That is your phrase. This is your moment. The girl who plotted towards you, the one who thought she should play with your lifestyles and escape justice, is now mendacity in a hospital mattress, clinging to breath. The very plan she designed to spoil you has become returned towards her like a cursed weapon. The forces she summoned in darkness have turned around, and now she's begging. Yes, begging within the echo, gasping, whispering your name to the partitions, trying to cry out for help that won't come. Because whilst heaven rises to protect the chosen, no energy can stand. Open your eyes. The Spirit of God is moving fiercely around your lifestyles proper now. You could now not see it yet within the natural, however within the religious realm, battles have already been fought for you. And victories have already been received. Due to the fact God says, sufficient is enough. They played with your life too lengthy. They mocked my mercy too long. Now I'm growing like a lion, and every evil spoken over your lifestyles is being swallowed with the aid of fireplace. There's no extra postpone. You puzzled when the ache might cease. You cried out in silence, asking why your enemies seemed to flourish whilst you struggled. But you did not realize the full story. You failed to see the secret conferences, the whispered curses, the envy in the back of smiles. You failed to pay attention the spells cast behind closed doors, the pics they revealed of you, the objects they laid palms on while muttering death and put off into your future. However, God noticed it. And Archangel Michael stood over your name with his sword drawn. He warned them. Over and over. However, they did not forestall. They desired to look you fail. They desired your name ruined. They wanted your money dried up. They desired your spirit damaged. They desired human beings to agree with lies about you. But it backfired. God says, my baby, I will no longer permit their poison prosper. I'm able to now not let their guns win. She paid a price to delay you. She offered her own peace to damage yours. However, now I have demanded price, and what she dispatched out has returned to her. You felt it, didn't you? That surprising release. That shift in the spirit. That moment when the heavy fog lifted. You thought maybe you had been just having a better day. However, it wasn't random. It was justice. Something broke within the realm that day. Something shattered. And that something turned into her energy. The wire she attempted to wrap around your spirit snapped. The fingers that reached into your price range, your mind, your relationships have been slapped away by way of angelic pressure. And now she lays in a mattress, burdened, tortured through the diverse human beings. Every spirit she tried to ship against you. She did not count on this. Evil in no way does. She laughed when you cried. She smiled when you had been rejected. She informed people memories that stained your call. She twisted her lies with such self-assurance that even you commenced to question your reality. She wore a mask of holiness, mild, empathy. However, she had blood on her arms and venom on her tongue. She said she loved you. But love does not rent darkness to damage. Love would not manipulate strength to delay destiny. She knew who you had been. She noticed it before you did. It really is why she hated you. She wasn't confused. She became calculated. However, now the clock has grew to become. Now the angels are now not ready. They are moving. Rapid. Violently. Righteously. And she or he is feeling the weight of each phrase she ever spoke against you. God says, don't quote. Do not desire her damage. Just watch. Watch what occurs once I shield my selected. Due to the fact this isn't always approximately revenge. This is about justice. This is approximately heaven sending a clean message. You do no longer contact the anointed and escape untouched. You do not curse the innocent and sleep in peace. You do now not sow destruction and expect to harvest prefer. The demons she summoned haven't any master now. They roam. They chew. They tear. They scream. And she or he, the only who thought she become the queen of darkness, is now begging for light. Begging for breath. Begging to opposite what she started out. However, God says, what she launched cannot be undone. What she birthed in mystery need to now be buried in disgrace. This is the season of divine reversal. Everything stolen from you is coming again. With interest. The whole thing not on time is being accelerated. The entirety lost is being replaced with glory. You have been never the sufferer. You had been the vessel. And now, heaven is pouring into you the entirety that was withheld. Pay attention. The enemy is afraid of you proper now. They've seen the shift to your spirit. You're more effective than they ever wanted you to believe. You're extra protected than they ever imagined. You bring divine DNA and now you're waking as much as it. That is what that is approximately. This isn't always just about one female in a sanatorium bed. That is approximately a device of delay that just lost manage. That is about a veil lifting from your eyes. You're being activated. Called forth. Commissioned. The anti-Q, the only who wondered their really worth, their calling, their voice, that version is lifeless. What rises now could be the warrior. What rises now's the lion. You notion it changed into just a tough season. But heaven calls it training. You thought it turned into rejection. But God calls it redirection. You notion you had been deserted. However, heaven changed into hiding you, protecting you, retaining you off their radar till the appointed time. And now, the appointed time has come. You've got crossed over. The Red Sea is at the back of you. The wilderness is at the back of you. The shadows of manipulation, witchcraft, jealousy, they haven't any vicinity on your subsequent. This is why they're being ripped out of your existence. You could sense the shaking. You can sense the humans pulling away. However, don't mourn. Rejoice. Due to the fact God is putting off each actor, each counterfeit, each liar. Even now, a person is making an attempt to touch you. But heaven is blockading the call, blocking the message, blocking the strength. They may be too late. The curse they attempted to reactivate is now a noose around their personal plans. The altar they built is now burning. And God Himself is status in the hearth, pronouncing, "Touch now not my anointed." This message isn't always simply facts. It's activation. Your angels were unleashed. The oil to your life is igniting. Your light is blinding the enemy. And yet, there may be one greater aspect you want to recognize. The girl who sits in Iku, trembling, is not on my own. She wasn't working solo. There have been others. Looking. Assisting. A few stayed silent. Some pretended to be impartial. However, in the spirit, silence is consent. And now those alliances are crumbling too. Heaven isn't always just exposing her. God is pulling again the curtain on an entire circle of religious attack. There are names you haven't even considered. However, the fact is coming. In desires. In overheard conversations. In sudden revelations. Put together yourself. It will shock you. But it's going to also loose you. You've been living beneath non-secular surveillance. However, no extra. Archangel Michael says, that is the moment you were born for. Now not to go through, but to upward thrust. Now not to worry. However, to lead. Now not to beg. However, to reign. the backfire wasn't just punishment. It changed into a trumpet, sounding in the spirit, saying that your wilderness is over, that your call has been cleared, that your purpose has been reactivated. You will see miracles in days, now not years. You will stroll through doors that had been as soon as sealed. You may get hold of calls that shift the whole thing. You will look again and surprise the way you survived it all. And the answer may be simple. God by no means left you. You felt alone. However, you had been surrounded. You felt abandoned. But heaven became writing. You felt weak. However, now you may understand, it turned into for your weak spot that God's power turned into made perfect. That ICU bed is not only a clinic scene. It's a non-secular court. And the verdict is being written in real time. She is being judged by the very spirits she unleashed. However, you're being promoted, expanded, crowned. This is your turnaround moment. The silence you persevered is becoming your sound of victory. The prayers you whispered in secret are approximately to be responded publicly. Every no is becoming a divine shore. And every delay is remodeling into destiny. Heaven is not whispering. It is roaring. Archangel Michael says, "Open this message now. This is not for later. No longer for mirrored image. That is a command. A divine alert. A spiritual rescue. The following time a person speaks your name, they'll speak it with awe. Not because you are proud, but because the fireplace didn't kill you. The pit didn't bury you. The lies did not ruin you. You walked via hell and stored your worship. You stared down devils and failed to bow. That's why the crown is coming. It truly is why the keys are being passed to you. You handed the check. And now, the backfire becomes your step forward. The echo will become your inauguration. And the woman who tried to kill your destiny now becomes the proof that God fights for his own. That is actual. This is very last. This is the day God exposes the plan. The players. The lie. The setup. And instead of falling, you upward thrust. God says, "My child, I have spoken. You are safe. You are loose. You're selected. Walk in it now." The 3 hours have passed. And whether or not you realized it or not, the shift has begun. Heaven waited. Angels stood by means of. Time slowed in the spirit as your name becomes spoken again and again across nation-states. The gates of selection swung open. And now, the trap has activated, but you are still status. This means that there is nonetheless mercy. You may not experience geared up. You may feel shaken. However, the truth has already been set into motion, and what God exposed can't be hidden once more. There may be no turning back. The woman has been revealed. No longer by a noisy assertion. No longer with a dramatic unveiling. But within the quiet corners of your soul wherein you already knew. You just failed to need to believe it. You wanted to offer her the advantage of the doubt. You desired to be incorrect about her. However, you weren't. And now the results of her deception are unfolding. She has taken one remaining step two ways. Said one aspect too much. Made one circulate too quickly. And the mask slipped. You noticed it. Despite the fact that for just 1-2D, you saw it. God says, that second turned into me. I pulled the curtain, returned. I allowed you to capture the glimpse you stored inquiring for. That flash of soreness. That jolt of misunderstanding. That gut-wrenching silence after her remaining message. That wasn't your thoughts playing tricks. That was your discernment breaking through the fog. Because I can now not have the funds for a good way to be blind. I have invested an excessive amount in you. I have positioned you for an excessive amount of impact. I cannot permit your destiny to be shackled to deception. She noticed your electricity before you did. That is why she pretended to defend it. But God says, you need to stop difficult manipulation with mentorship. You ought to stop perplexing mimicry with loyalty. She was by no means supposed to be an everlasting person for your story. She changed into a take a look at. A divine publicity wrapped in human pores and skin. You requested me to reveal you who changed into for you. However, once I sent the signs, you excused them. When I stirred your spirit, you overrode it with logic. But the religious realm would not observe logic. It follows alignment. And he or she became in no way aligned with the oil for your life. She wanted get admission to it, no longer to honor it, however to empty it. The lure wasn't physical. The lure become emotional. Non-secular. It become designed to drain some time. Your electricity. Your focus. To wear out your instincts just sufficient so that you might second-guess what I already showed. But now it's too late for her manipulation to work. Because I have stepped in. I've allowed her schemes to tangle themselves. Her plans will fold in on themselves. She will be able to watch you rise, and he or she will now not be able to observe. The door is closed. The connection is severed. And you need to not reopen it. Yes, I recognize you still feel the pull. That is the residue of emotional entanglement. However, feelings are not information. And now not each familiar voice merits a permanent space in your future. She was acquainted. She changed into comforting. But consolation isn't always secure. No longer all who appear close are secure. The most risky betrayals come from folks that knew your softness. It's why she waited till you depended on her absolutely. But I did no longer permit her plan to complete. I reduce it off mid-movement. I finished her fingers mid-spell. I erased your call from the altar she whispered it upon. I silenced the tongues that agreed along with her towards you. I sent Michael. And he has struck down the twine connecting her soul to yours. Now there's peace once more. It is able to experience strange in the beginning. You've been in spiritual turbulence for see you later that peace would possibly experience like loss. However, it is now not loss. It's liberation. The silence you currently experience is not vacancy. It is clarity. For the first time in months, maybe even years, you are now not being pulled in a direction that turned into never yours. You are not being emotionally manipulated to doubt yourself. Her grip in your future is broken. She can't postpone what I've already scheduled. And your subsequent blessing will not be intercepted. She tried. But she failed. Now not because you stuck her, but because heaven by no means stopped combating for you. You have no concept how many angels were dispatched to confuse her plans. You don't know how many goals I sent you to warn you, even in case you did not understand them. You don't know how many divine whispers prompt you away simply in time. You idea you were making selections randomly. However, no, your spirit turned into being led through grace. You had been included even on your confusion. Due to the fact I like you an excessive amount of to allow a snake slither into your sacred lawn. And now, your garden is being restored. What she attempted to approve will bloom once more. What she poisoned may be replanted. You'll regain time. You will regain consciousness. You'll regain joy. The fog is lifting. And so is your power. You're about to see just how a lot her presence muted your anointing. You'll sense the surge. You'll sense the clarity. You will sense the rush of divine momentum flood your existence once more. And while you do, you may recognize that you in no way needed her. She needed you. However, not for suitable. She needed you because your prefer threatened her sense of manipulate. She desired to experience your wave, but she became in no way willing to recognize the ocean you got here from. This component may also hurt, but I need you to listen it. She was by no means going to assist you. she turned into in no way going to rejoice you. She become planning to sabotage you when the instant came. And if I hadn't uncovered her, you will have taken her with you into your harvest. And she would have poisoned the very blessing you prayed for. That is how critical this turned into. This wasn't petty drama. This became a non-secular attack for your future. And I refuse to let it appear. That is why this second feels excessive. That is why the whole thing appears like it is taking place at once. Due to the fact heaven had to shift quick to dispose of her right now. To reduce ties without giving her time to react. You could note surprising distancing. You can observe silence. You may observe electricity shifts. It is no longer your creativeness. It really is non-secular disconnection. I have pulled the plug. And what's not aligned with you will fade out like a dying frequency. Do now not chase it. Do now not explain yourself. Do no longer re-engage. Allow it die. Allow me bury it. You do no longer need closure with someone I've already judged. Your process is to heal. To rise. To reclaim what was taken. And I will assist you. I'm able to send the right voices. I'm able to send divine connections. I will surround you with people who carry clean hands and natural hearts. You will not need to question their motives. You will not taught to provide an explanation for your spirit. They'll apprehend you with the aid of the anointing. They may honor you in private and public. And they'll in no way compete with what I've positioned in you. That is your praise for obedience. For listening. For trusting me even if it harm. And yes, there is a reward. A divine inheritance that is now being released. Due to the fact she was status among you and the next release. Her presence blocked the float. Her soul ties clogged the channel. But now that she's removed, your hands are open. Your thoughts is clear. And the blessing will discover you. Fast. Inside days, symptoms will appear. Economic restoration. Sudden messages. Lengthy awaited approvals. Prophetic goals. All is affirmation that heaven has grew to become to your choose once more. You handed the take a look at. No longer because you had been best, but because you trusted me. In spite of the confusion, even with the heartbreak, even with the delay, you still selected to trust that I'd ship the fact. And I did. You opened this in time. You listened. You permit pass. And now the floodgates will open. You've got cried sufficient. You have puzzled enough. You have feared enough. Now's the time for achievement. However, keep your eyes sharp. Because exposure by no means comes by myself. It usually brings awakening. You will now see others with new eyes. You may experience who is real and who is rehearsed. You may listen the difference between love and possession. And you'll in no way again hand your strength to a person who is not spiritually safe. Your spirit is being upgraded. Your discernment is being sharpened. Your confidence is being restored. And your legacy is being unlocked. The trap became real. But so became the breakout. And now you're free. Now walk forward. Do not appearance returned. Don't give an explanation for. Do not reattach. Allow the dead stay buried. Let the uncovered live inside the light. You are not supposed to go back to the shadows. You are not supposed to carry guilt for someone else's corruption. You're loose. You're easy. You're complete. And from this moment on, no weapon fashioned in opposition to you shall prosper. Due to the fact the weapon turned into shaped, but it failed. Archangel Michael says, I order you to open this right now. Do now not put off. Do no longer scroll away. Do no longer second wager this moment. Due to the fact what simply took place in the spirit isn't always something small. A female who has plotted towards you, schemed in silence, smiled for your face whilst hiding hatred behind her eyes, has simply been struck by way of the hand of justice, now not Guy's justice, but God's. Her plan has failed. Horribly.